I used to think that I was just lazy, but the truth is, I didn't know how to care about something that just didn't matter. And for years, I confused that feeling with failure. But if you're watching this, you probably don't want to stay stuck in that feeling. You want something to change, even if you don't know what that is yet. That's where I was. And this video isn't about giving up. It's about figuring out how I ended up in jobs that drained the life out of me, and what actually helped me start clawing my way out. I remember working as a cleaner. The shifts always started early enough that I never slept well. I was always anxious about waking up on time. That constant worry wore me down more than the work itself. The job was repetitive, wiping down dirty skirting boards, cleaning old handrails, and hoovering stinky carpets in the same common areas week after week. I'd get done for the day only to know that I'd be doing the exact same thing again very soon. There was never any real sense of completion, no satisfying endpoint. The person I worked for had this constant, almost relentless drive to always be cleaning, like it was a passion of his. I didn't share that passion. In fact, the more enthusiastic that he was, the more it seemed to drain me. His energy made me feel negative, worn down, and question why I was even there in the first place. I remember many nights I would be lying in bed, unable to relax, and all my mind would be doing is running in circles about whether I'd wake up on time, whether I'd oversleep, whether I'd fail, all whilst wishing I didn't have to do it at all. It wasn't just the physical effort, it was knowing the hours ahead of me were already claimed by a job that felt completely pointless. And the longer I stayed there, the more it wore me down. Most normal jobs felt like this to me, doing the same tasks over and over. It doesn't really matter how much energy I bring to the work, it feels like nothing changes. You could swap yourself out with another person, or even a machine, and the results would be the same. There's no sense that what you're doing really matters beyond hitting a quota or getting through the day. It's no wonder so many of us dread going into work, because deep down, we don't just want to be productive. We want our work to mean something to us, to feel like it actually matters. But when every task feels like endless busy work, when no one seems to care if you do a good job or not, how could it? I've worked a variety of jobs, but the real part that felt meaningless was not wanting to be there in the first place. I was only there to get the money that I needed, and it just started to feel like the money wasn't worth it. The pain wasn't worth the price. The funny thing is, I'd get home from a job that felt like a pointless grind, and then log into World of Warcraft and grind some more. I killed the same mobs, run the same dungeons, farmed the same drops. One grind made me feel trapped, the other one made me feel like I was actually progressing at something. And I think that's what games gave me, a grind that I chose, and an escape to a world where my effort felt like it actually led to something. Real life didn't feel like that. It felt like I was just doing things that I didn't care about, because it felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing. When you spend years doing work that feels meaningless to yourself, it does something to your sense of self-worth. You start to believe that you don't deserve anything better, that this is all that you're capable of. I used to feel embarrassed to tell people what I did for work, like it was some kind of reflection of my self-worth. I didn't have a good career. I didn't have a title that impressed anyone. I had a job that just paid enough to scrape by, and that was about it. But beyond that, it felt like being a cleaner was all I was worth as a person. That was the pinnacle of my life, and it was shit. I still feel the effects of this today. When I do freelance work, I usually undervalue myself, feeling as though my time isn't worth what other people charge. Something inside of me tells me that I'm just not good enough. It made me question myself constantly. Why couldn't I find something better? Why did it feel like everyone else had direction while I was stuck in this loop? The truth is, I wasn't lazy. I was just lacking direction. I was trapped in a system that made it almost impossible to care, and my own mind was keeping me there. Because meaningless work doesn't just waste your time, it chips away at who you are. When your job drains you like that, it feels like the only thing left is to escape. You start living for the distractions, anything that makes the day feel bearable. For me, it was mostly gaming, with some smoking and drinking to fill in the gaps. Anything that helped take my mind off how empty my life really felt. But those distractions never solved the problem. It was just a momentary fix. a way to feel like I had some sense of control. But they never let me question why I felt so lost in the first place. I wasn't building anything, I was just drifting, just trying to survive the day and hoping something would magically change the next. The longer that you stay in that cycle, the harder it feels to break free, because I think you start convincing yourself that it's too late, that the job is stable, that at least you know what to expect. There's that saying, the devil that you know feels better than the one that you don't. I was scared of becoming one of those people that stayed in a job they hated because they feared change. So I did the opposite. I kept quitting jobs and changing, never staying at one for more than a year. But that didn't fix it either. Eventually it caught up with me. I ended up in hospital and was diagnosed with an inflammatory bowel disease. And I know that the stress of work played a large role in that. Not just the work itself, but how pointless and draining it all felt. You'd think a moment like that would force some kind of change. But if anything, I let it pull me down further. I didn't feel like I had answers, just another label, another thing that I had to deal with. I stopped trying to figure anything out. I'd continue to game into the night, sleep late, and just get through another day. I kept telling myself that I'd figure things out eventually, but I wasn't figuring anything out. I was waiting for life to happen to me. You could say it was the opposite of agency. I just drifted, hoping something would come along and fix it for me. I just couldn't keep living like that. I didn't have all the answers. Well, I still don't. But I stopped accepting the lie that work had to feel meaningless. It's taken many years to get an idea of what I want in life, to find some sense of purpose. But I never would have found it if I didn't try. If I could talk to my younger self, the one waking up dreading another day, thinking that there was no way out, I'd say don't wait. Don't spend years convincing yourself that it'll get better without taking any steps. Don't let meaningless work define your self-worth. And don't numb yourself so much that you forget there's more out there. You have more control than you think. Even if it's small and doesn't really make sense, start doing something that matters to you. Because work will always be a part of life, but it doesn't have to be life itself. Thanks for listening.